Perfect. Okay, so here's the thing. I didn't think of this, but I think it would be a really cool idea if these little spots here, if we use something like salt. Do you have salt at home? Okay, go ahead, quick grab it. We're going to have little bits of salt. Perfect. Okay, you're going to want a flat, a medium flat, a skinny outliner brush, and if we get to the water, you're going to want your largest flat for the water. But the water is literally going to be a wash, so I won't get too gung-ho about it. Okay. All right. Get your outliner brush ready. Get it wet. Nice and damp, kind of like getting out of the shower. You don't want it soaking. You want it damp. Decide what you want for your sea turtle's head, like the main color. Don't think about the dots yet, just the main color here. Okay? I'm probably going to do, I'll just do this yellow here, it'll be fine. No, I want golden brown. I want like a golden yellow. There we go. Okie dokie. Get it nice. Lather it up with paint. Sing yourself happy birthday a few times. You might want to lighten up your line here with an eraser. I have wet tube paint, so I don't have to sing happy birthday as much because it's literally wet. And just make sure that your brush isn't soaking wet, but just damp. You might have to tap off some excess water before you apply said paint. Use this brush to outline the body of your turtle. I'm only focusing on this area. Let me see if I have salt. Salt. No, I don't have salt, but that's okay. I'll have you do the salty part. Alright. Grab your flat. Get it damp with some clean water. We're going to start working from light to dark here. We're going to use our light colors first. Tap off the extra water. Line your bristles up to your line of paint that you've just applied to your paper. And drag that puppy in. Avoid the eye. Paint around the eye. I repeat, paint around the eye. You might have to, since we're just starting to paint and our brushes aren't necessarily broken in yet, you might have to revisit your cup. If you do, just water bug your cup on the surface of your water bug your brush on the surface of your cup. Literally just touch the surface of the water with the tip of your brush to get that wetness that we're looking for. We don't want it flooding with liquid. We just need it damp. I want my spots to be brown, so I'm going to clean off my outliner brush, and while my stuff is still wet or damp, I'm going to apply a dot of brown to that area. But let me pick up some brown first. I want to stress that your pointer brush or your filbert is not going to be soaking wet. It's going to be damp. We're still doing that really heavy paint, little water technique. If you want, and you want these bumpy, you want these bumps to have a little bit of texture to them, feel free to sprinkle a little salt in this area if you want texture. All right, let's start with that kind of tan color here, like we did with the body. And then we'll put spots of brown on top, okay, to create these speckles for your fin. I lightened my line. I did not blow this time, I just tapped the extra eraser off because I don't want the eraser line to be messing with my paint. I'm just going to grab my pointy brush and use that as my outliner. So that way, I'm lazy. I don't like to have to be cleaning my brushes in between. I'd rather just have one brush designated for yellow and one designated for brown. I'll be honest. We're repeating the first step, outline and spread. Lots of paint for your outline. Damp, clean brush for your spreading portion for today's class. And we're just going to focus on the turtle for today. You can use oil pastel to do the sea bottom here if you want. You can do it in watercolor, your art, your choice. But I'm really not going to stress too much on that. Since we used such little water to get this tan kind of yellow golden color, it should be safe to move forward and to start putting our speckle design on here. Just give your watercolor a nice soft tap, and if there's not like a puddle of water or if your finger's not super wet, then feel safe to move forward. How's it going? Does it feel pretty good? Okay, good. We're gonna just paint in these designs here. It's literally like giraffe kind of spot shapes. And we're going to paint that in using a decently dry brush. It's got some liquid to it, kind of like how you did your outline. You want it damp, like towel dry damp, but you don't want it soaking wet. And you're literally painting in the shapes. The reason we did not draw these shapes on is because the pencil line would really mess with your color, for one. And for two, we're just kind of just dabbing it in here. These shapes aren't necessarily like, they're not like a solid outline. Alright, get your brush damp. Leave some of that brown on your brush and just add little wet dots of brown. And if you want texture here too, feel free to sprinkle a tiny bit of salt around these bumps to give it texture. Totally up to you though. You don't have to if you don't want to. I'm going to let this dry, and then we are going to go in with some other details. We're just going to let this fin dry, and then I'm going to show you how to add some details. to your sea turtle's fin to create more definition. But let's continue this brown theme. We kind of want it a little brown or tan here because of the shadow on the under flipper. So let's continue this brown theme into flipper number 2 and do that outlining technique that I was showing you earlier. Outline. And spread. We're going to outline and spread. The tip or the top of this is going to be the yellowish color. So we're going to repeat what we did with the bottom, but we're just going to switch it out with the golden brown instead of the dark brown. You see that? And then we're going to spread. Remember, very little water at this point. Just a damp brush. We just want to kind of thin out that outline a little bit so that way it's not so bold. Feel free to add just another layer of that gold on just the underbelly of your sea turtle to kind of bring out some shadow there. And then add those dots of brown. If you want the texture, add the salt. Very tiny, tiny amount of salt in this area. Just a tiny. Almost like a little dusting. You don't want to go too crazy with it.